Get all your news details now. We'll send it back to Mary.
Just rains on the weekends. Okay, thank you so much, Russ. Vancouver police have arrived on scene of the newest pop-up camp near Crowd Park this morning. Our Greg Harper has been following this story for us this morning, and he joins us with the latest. Good morning, Greg.
Good morning, Mary. Yeah, police still have Waterfront Street closed off here, and there are many Vancouver police officers on scene here as the tent city near Crowd Park is being cleared out. It's been a very slow go here this morning. And it's still rather large, this encampment, but it doesn't look quite like it did earlier this morning when police first arrived, a little after 6, I would say. And we've seen a number of campers taking down their tents, packing up their belongings, and leaving the area. Now, earlier we did see one young man in handcuffs, but those cuffs were taken off. He was not arrested, and as far as I could see, no one has here this morning. It's been peaceful as campers continue to pack up their things and leave. Now, this has been a tent city that's been here for roughly 2 months, ever since campers at Oppenheimer Park in Vancouver were forced to leave. The land here, owned by Port of Vancouver, which was granted an injunction last week. Jeremy Hunka from Union Gospel Mission is here, and he says dismantling this camp isn't going to solve the problem.
The difficulty is that when people are moved, they set up in a different place, and because they feel vulnerable, they look to, again, congregate, because there's strength in numbers. They feel safer when there's a community around, and ultimately just displacing camps doesn't solve the problem.
Not sure if Vancouver police have given the campers here a deadline for when they have to pack up and leave, but they are doing so. And as I mentioned earlier here, it's been peaceful so far as a lot of Vancouver police officers continue to watch, and many are inside talking to the campers here. We still have a fire burning in one of the areas behind me, but slowly this camp looks like it's being removed here next to Crowd Park in Vancouver. Where will they go from here? That's obviously still a question. Mary?
Okay, thank you so much for the update, Greg. 9:03 now. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau says the economy is reopening, but says we still have a long road ahead. This morning, he announced his government will be extending CERB payments for another 8 weeks.
Today, I am announcing that we will be extending eligibility for the CERB by 8 weeks. So if you've been getting the CERB and you still can't work because you're unable to find a job or it's just not possible, you will keep getting that $2,000 a month. Over the next few weeks, our government will look at international best practices and monitor the economy and the progression of the virus to see what changes, if any, need to be made to the program so that more people are properly supported.
And Trudeau also addressed the border closure with the U.S. He says his government has agreed to extend the closure by another 30 days.
I want to close this morning with some news regarding the Canada-U.S. border. I can now confirm that Canada and the United States have once again agreed to extend by 30 days until July 21st the current measures in place along our border. This is an important decision that will keep people in both of our countries safe.
The city of Surrey is delaying the opening of a new community center as it tries to cope with a deficit of more than $40 million due to COVID-19. A new report finds the shortfall is estimated to be between $37 and $42 million. Pushing back the opening of the Clayton Community Center until 2021 will save the city about $1.5 million. While the new community center is on hold, the city is pushing ahead on the transition to a municipal police force. Investigators looking into a deadly house fire in Langley over the weekend now admit they could be dealing with a triple homicide. The body of a man who was likely killed before the fire was found at the back of the Willowbrook house. Police are hoping another man who was pulled from the home and is doing okay will have some answers. Investigators still have not confirmed the identities of those who died. Crews are expected to be on scene all week. Since Friday, 36 people have tested positive for COVID-19 in BC. No new deaths have been reported. 13 people are in hospital, 4 in intensive care. No new community or long-term care outbreaks. Dr. Bonnie Henry says so far the return to school has gone well.
We have had no cases associated with schools yet in the province. It could happen, but so far everything has been really great that way. And it's going well, and I think we're learning some really important things that will help us prepare through the summer and into the fall, and that's a very important thing as well.
BC's recovery rate is now up to 87%. Well, could Americans be violating travel restrictions and vacationing in Canada? Travis Prasad has more.
A picturesque town capturing the beauty of Canada's Rocky Mountains, Banff is popular among tourists. But now a certain type of tourist is causing concern around who is crossing through Canada's borders.
We've heard those reports over the past few days and are looking into them.
Canada's Prime Minister referring to this Facebook post that has gone viral. It describes a family from Texas on holiday in Banff. The post claims the family got across the border using a loophole. They allegedly told border officers they were only traveling through Canada to get to Alaska.
The issue is the person transiting to Alaska to where they have a home or some sort of essential travel requirement like a job or whatever, or is it an excuse somebody's using?
The Canada-U.S. border remains closed to all non-essential travel, but there are exceptions, including Americans cutting through Canada to reach Alaska. Anyone doing so is given a handout advising them to remain in the vehicle as much as possible, avoid staying in hotels, pay for gas at the pump, and use drive-thrus for food. But there's nothing stopping them from ignoring quarantine rules and vacationing in Canada.
There can very likely be consequences to that, and I would advise anyone even contemplating such a thing to give their head a shake and not do it.
If a border officer has any doubt that someone is in fact heading to Alaska, the CBSA says the traveler will be required to prove it.
Well, presumably, you've got a place you've booked, you've got rental receipts, you've got something. Ultimately, the border can simply not let them in. They can say, I'm sorry, I'm not satisfied that your purpose for coming into Canada is what you say it is.
Canada's COVID-19 curve continues to flatten, but south of the border, some states are seeing spikes in coronavirus cases.
As we continue our conversations with the Americans, as we look at adjusting or shifting our posture in certain ways, we need to make sure that we're able to apply the rules consistently and that we're doing everything necessary to keep Canadians safe.
The Canada-U.S. border closure is in effect until June 21st, but it has been reported the restriction will likely be extended beyond that. Travis Prasad, City News.
9:09 now, continuing our Great Grad series. Premier John Horgan has declared this week Grad Week in BC with a province-wide cheer for graduating students, also planned for Saturday night. Miranda Fatour has more.
It's important that we get the recognition that we deserve, that we're not really getting traditionally.
Traditional grad ceremonies are cancelled this year, but on Monday morning, BC Premier John Horgan surprised 2 Port Coquitlam students on KISS Radio by declaring this week Grad 2020 Week.
The tremendous accomplishment of getting through 12 years in a kindergarten class, the first graduating class in a pandemic in over 100 years. I also want to say that the Education Minister, Rob Fleming, will be proclaiming this week as Grad 2020 Week, and we're going to be reaching out to school boards across the province to see if we can get a cheer going in every city in BC.
It's honestly insane. Like, we thought the most we could get it to was maybe Tri-Cities or like just a little bit around the Lower Mainland, but we were never imagining that it could get province-wide.
While students are missing out on spending their last moments of high school together in big groups like in previous years, Coughlin is staying positive.
I was really upset when I first found out because I didn't know what it was going to look like for us. But my school was able to still kind of have a little bit of a commencement.
Horgan's announcement comes after Riverside Secondary School's grad committee petitioned Port Coquitlam Mayor Brad West to also declare a grad week.
City Hall is going to be lit up in the colors of all the high schools in our community. Cool. We've encouraged local businesses to put Congrats 2020 grads signage throughout their windows and throughout the city. So grads, as they are out and about, see those messages. The city city is also promoting those messages on all of our electronic billboards.
To kick off Grad Week on Monday, Riverside Secondary students walked the stage and received their diplomas in a socially distant manner.
They are absolutely very positive, they are very caring, and they're very kind.
The graduating class has donated money they've raised to local charities and legacy projects. And the school is also behind a province-wide cheer for grads happening on Saturday, June 20th at 8:20.
In their life, this is their biggest moment. And so we want to make sure that they get that acknowledgement, they get that recognition.
In Port Coquitlam, Miranda Fatour, City News.
We are finally getting an idea of just how much Prince Harry and Meghan Markle's stay in BC cost taxpayers. The Canadian Taxpayers Federation says the RCMP spent more than $56,000 on overtime and logistics while providing security to the pair. That does not include police officers' salaries or any overtime costs after January 19th. The couple lived in BC for a while after announcing they were stepping away from royal duties to seek an independent life in North America. It was initially believed they would settle here. The two have since moved to Los Angeles. Okay, 9:12 now. Time for some celebrations. Here's Thor.